When we think of African American history, one year often stands out. 1619, the arrival of 20 Africans at Point Comfort, Virginia. But what if I told you the story doesn't begin there? Long before Jamestown, before English colonists, Africans had already left their footprints on these shores. Travel back with me to 1513. Spanish ships ride the waves of the Atlantic, sails billowing in the wind. Among the crew is a man named Juan Garrido, born in West Africa, enslaved in Portugal, baptized a Christian, and now a free conquistador. He's no ordinary explorer. He's a survivor, a warrior who fought in the conquests of Puerto Rico and Cuba, who marched alongside Hernan Cortez in Mexico's faithful campaigns, and who will become the first to plant wheat in the New World's fertile soil. But in 1513, Garrido is part of Ponce de Leon's expedition to the lush shores of Florida, making him the earliest documented African to set foot in what will become the United States. Just over a decade later, in 1526, the Spanish again set sail, this time with a grand plan to build a colony near today's Georgia or South Carolina. Among them are 600 settlers and a small group of enslaved Africans. They are the first significant African presence in the land, and they arrived not as free men like Garrido, but in chains, forced to build a new world. The colony, plagued by disease, hunger, and conflict with local native tribes, collapsed within months. But here's where the story takes a turn. Some of these enslaved Africans escaped, fleeing into the forest, finding sanctuary with native people. Imagine them, these first Africans blending with the landscape, their lives no longer bound by European masters, but woven into the rhythms of native communities. Oral traditions hint at their presence, a shared life in the shadows of the forest. African and native cultures meeting, sharing food, music, and stories. So, by the time the English finally arrived in 1607, and by 1619, when a privateer ship carried those 20 and odd Africans to Virginia, Africans had already been here, over 100 years before. They were not merely passengers on someone else's journey, they were explorers, farmers, warriors, and survivors. Let's remember their names and faces. Juan Garrido, the African conquistador, the farmer, the pioneer. The unnamed Africans of 1526, the ones who walked away from bondage and into freedom's forest. They were the first chapter in the story of African Americans, a story that begins not in chains, but in the courage to explore, adapt, and survive. So, as the sun sets over these waters, remember the footsteps that have already walked this sand, the echoes of laughter and struggle, the quiet power of those who came before. This is the story of early African presence in America, a story of first steps, first hopes, and the beginnings of legacy that endures to this day.